results.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Fifer, served up by Wendy's on 1250 AM and 1057 FM The Fan. Download the Wendy's app today.
Welcome in. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's as we broadcast live from the 1250 AM and 1057 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook here at Wisconsin's State Fair. Come on out, hang out with us We are right by the Expo building where you walk in right across from where the milk house is. And again, as I've been saying, it's all about the root beer milk for me. Go check that out. Lots of fun things, lots of great things to eat out here at the Wisconsin State Fair. Make sure to come on out. Check it out if you haven't been out here yet. My kids are all wanting to come every day, so there's that I have to deal with, but maybe you don't have to deal with the same thing. Hopefully for your sake, you don't have to come out here every day like my kids want to. Coming up on today's show, Andrew Wagner. We'll go inside the clubhouse with him, Forbes Sports Brewers writer. Brought to you by Focus Baseball. Comes up today at 2:40. We'll talk about the dominant performance again from this Brewers team. Not only did they sweep the Nationals last night, didn't have much offense, but Isaac Collins with a 3-run homer, Trevor McGill with a perfect ninth inning, Quinn Priester with another great performance there for the Brewers. We'll talk with him. Then Bruce Murray's at Packers training camp, Sirius XM. Oh, hold on a second. I got to figure out what I got down here. 1 second here. I got to go back and 1 second. There we go. I got it. Now, Sirius XM NFL Radio, host of Sirius XM Blitz, weekday afternoons. So make sure to, again, stay tuned for that. Him and John Kuhn actually doing a show on Sirius XM Radio today from Lambeau Field. From Packers training camp. So he'll hop on with us at 3:20 once they're off the air. Looking forward to getting Bruce on the air. Then coming up at 4 o'clock, Green and Gold update. Packers obviously get the Jets coming up this weekend. We'll talk to the co-owner of JetsXFactor.com. He is Michael Nania, coming up at 4 o'clock. In between now and then, we got to talk some Brewers, got to talk some Packers as well. I'm happy to tell you that regardless of what is out there, and I did see some stuff on the Knicks and Giannis, I am not talking about Giannis again today. I feel like I talked about him enough yesterday. I got upset enough yesterday where I don't want to talk about it again. Charlie, do you feel like that is a good programming decision or a bad programming decision to avoid talking Giannis today?
I think it's probably a good programming one. I think that Giannis talk has kind of run its course for us, at least. It's the same stuff from Shams. I think we're more annoyed with Shams at this point than anything, and that's what we talk about. I think Giannis has done his thing. He seems like he's comfortable. Seems like he's going to play with the Bucks this season. I don't need to worry about it.
I disagree with you. I'm most annoyed by Giannis. I'm definitely not most annoyed by Sharani like everybody else. Giannis could have ended this whenever he wanted to. And has chosen not to do that for some reason, one way or the other. So until he chooses to end this, it's going to continue to go the way it is. And then eventually at some point, and you'll know when he chooses to end it because it'll be a whole public thing. It'll either be an interview, him saying, man, I'm back in Milwaukee this year. This is where I want to be, so forth. It'll be very definitive. Not talking to people at a card show, but actually being definitive and saying it for the record for everybody to hear. So when that time comes, then we will probably mention it again. But other than that, I don't want to really get into it today. I do want to talk about this Brewers baseball team yesterday. Quinn Priester, first pitch, boom. Brewers down 1-0 to the Atlanta Braves last night. That's what it was for quite some time. That was until Isaac Collins came up later in the game.
They send Yelich, he goes, and a swing and a drive to right field. This is hit a ton. It is gone for Collins. A 3-run shot, and the Brewers have the lead. 7th home run of the year for Isaac Collins. Sweeper right down the middle.
How about this kid, Isaac Collins?
Isaac Collins has been doing stuff that I don't think anybody really thought Isaac Collins was going to do, and we've talked about that. But to the same point, Quinn Priester also has been doing stuff that I don't think anybody thought he was going to do. I certainly didn't. I didn't like getting Quinn Priester back or trading for Quinn Priester when they made that deal. Now, I understand they have a long time coming as far as, how long they have control of him for and so forth before, he becomes a free agent. So if he works out, if he is really as good as we see at this point, then then that becomes a completely different question. You have 5 more full seasons of Quinn Priester before he becomes a free agent. Last night, Quinn Priester, 7 innings, 2 hits, a run, the solo homer like I talked about from Jerkson Profar, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts. Quinn Priester, ERA now 3.15 on the season. Uribe comes in and gives him a inning, gives up a hit and a walk and a strikeout. And Uribe was screwing around with that front of that mound through the entire first at-bat last night. I don't know, again, I'm not a professional pitcher, but I don't know what it was with the front of that mound that was annoying Uribe so much, but he kept kicking the dirt, moving the dirt around. Then he'd throw another ball. Then And then all of a sudden Contreras comes out there after he finally threw a strike that I was thinking was 3-1. Then Contreras comes out there. Then Contreras is kicking dirt on the back of the mound. Has nothing to do with him pitching at all. Uribe, I think buying Uribe some more time to figure out what he wanted to do with arranging the dirt on the mound to get him comfortable again. But he was clearly distracted by the dirt on the mound last night, Charlie. And it's been a minute since I've seen a pitcher that distracted the way he was in that first at bat.
I think it kind of seems more like, and what we saw from Abner Uribe last season too, is that when he starts struggling, I think he just gets frustrated. I think when he gets frustrated, he tries to find a reason to blame for why he's getting frustrated in those moments and why he's not playing well. I don't know if the dirt really matters all that much. Yes, his foot may have felt weird when it was landing, and that's why what was bothering him. Maybe there was a rock in the spot that he was landing on. But I highly doubt that changed how he threw in that game that much, that directly as well. And because of that, I think it just seems more like he was getting mad at himself for throwing balls and needed to find a reason to blame it.
If you are listening to us right now on 1250 AM, 105.7 FM The Fan, that is great. Maybe you're streaming us on the Odyssey app right now, AUDACY. You can do that. Or search The Fan Milwaukee on YouTube. You can watch all of our shows live streaming there. You can watch our shorts, watch all of our different interviews and videos that we have posted. Again, The Fan Milwaukee on YouTube. Subscribe, share, like all that fun stuff right there on YouTube. We greatly appreciate it. Talking about a Brewers 3-1 victory last night against the Atlanta Braves. And like I said, Quinn Priester has been really, really good, folks. I mean, not kind of good, not sort of good, really good has been Quinn Priester at this point. And if you go back and you look at his numbers, in the month of July here, he started 5 games, had a 3.07 ERA in the month of July, 28 strikeouts to only 8 walks. You got to be pretty happy about that. In the month of June, he had a 1.98 ERA, 29 strikeouts to only 5 walks. So similar numbers to the month of July. And again, he's not getting shutouts or anything else. In fact, if you go back and look at his numbers overall, he has only had 3 outings where he has not given up a run. Every other outing, he's given up 1 or more runs. The first outing where he went 5 innings, gave up no runs, was against the Tigers all the way back on April 15th. He didn't have another one like that until June 28th against the Rockies when he went 7 innings and give up any runs with 11 strikeouts, 2 walks. His best game of the year, I would say, by far. And then another great outing against the Dodgers on the 18th, 6 innings, no runs, and 10 strikeouts. So he's shown you the ability to be really dominant in certain games. And in other games, he gives you the chance to win time in and time out. He is 11-2 this year. Right now is Quinn Priester. The question that I have is one that may be a little bit more difficult to answer, I guess. Just how good do you think Quinn Priester is going to end up being for the next 5 seasons for the Brewers? Just how good do you think he's going to end up being? Like, are you buying into what you're seeing right now, that this dude has a chance to be a front of the rotation guy? When I mean front of the rotation, I mean, if Woodruff leads and Peralta, and now it's Mizorowski, Logan Henderson, and the rest of these guys, is Priester, do you think, going to be good enough to be a guy that starts playoff games? That's a top 3 guy in a rotation for this Brewers team for the next 5 years. Do you think Priester is going to be good enough to be an all-star 2-3 times or more over the course of the next 5 years for this Milwaukee Brewers team? Just how good do you think Quinn Priester might actually end up being? Because by far, this has been the best year of his career at this point as far as mowing people down and figuring things out. And as you hear Pat Murphy talk about it, the mental part of the game, and Quinn Priester working through the mental part of the game has been a huge thing for Priester. Pitching every 5 days, working through jams, getting himself out of jams, giving up a run or 2 in an inning and then bouncing back and shutting them down for 2 or 3 innings. That type of stuff is all learning stuff. All that stuff he's going to use to his advantage and pack away in the back of his brain to use going forward as a starting pitcher for the Brewers. So how good do you think Quinn Priester is going to be? They got him for 5 more seasons. After this season, 5 more seasons, folks. Nicolay Law Fan Talk and text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Sound off with a recorded voice message on the Odyssey app. You can also use Facebook and Twitter at The Fan Milwaukee. and definitely want to hear from you. 414-677-1250. Also, can leave us a message right there on YouTube. Search the Fan Milwaukee on YouTube. You can live stream us and interact with us that way as well. All right, Charlie, how good do you think Quinn Priester ends up being here in the next 5 years? Because right now he's pitching like an all-star.
I don't know if he continues to be this good. I think I really like Quinn Priester. I think he's a phenomenal pitcher for the Brewers this season, but I need to see it for, I think, 2 seasons. And I said this about guys like Jordan Love as well, that I wanted to see it for more than just 1 year of working with the best pitching coach in the entire league with Chris Hook. With Jordan Love, it's kind of the same thing. I wanted to see him in his own style of offense after that first year. And last year, we didn't really see that. We saw him kind of go through another set of different offenses until we got to a point where we liked what we saw from him. This year, I want the same thing. I want him to take that next step and take control of that offense and make it his own. With Quinn Priester, next season, if he's still in the starting rotation for the Milwaukee Brewers, and by every sign he should be in that based on what we've seen from him this season, then I want to see him take another step. I think what we're seeing right now is phenomenal. It's one of the best pitchers in the league statistically. At the same time, I want to see it happen for another second season under this pitching staff, and also maybe get a little better, maybe be an all-star.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, I think, when we talk about going forward with him. There's a couple of things that we don't know, right? We don't know who his catcher is going to be. For instance, right? More than likely, it's not going to be Contreras going forward, right? Because his contract's going to come up here in the next year or so, or they're going to trade him, whatever ends up happening. And then maybe it's Jefferson Querrell that ends up being his catcher. Maybe it's Dingus, who they just drafted last year, who was rocketing up through the farm system and has been an absolute monster. That's the thing that I find interesting to this, because so often you are hearing Pat Murphy give credit to William Contreras for calling a great game, right? Helping get pitchers through tough situations and in tough innings and doing all of that. And when you give that much credit to a guy and you're working with a younger pitcher like a Quinn Priester, to me, that speaks volumes as far as how good the catcher is. And when that catcher changes, hopefully by that point, Priester will have the base knowledge to be able to work through this. It's huge for a guy like Mizorowski, who is, doing this for the first time, to have a veteran catcher who knows how to attack different hitters in different situations, that has faced these guys numerous times, versus, say, it's Jefferson Querrell in there, or Dingus, who doesn't have any knowledge of any of these guys and is kind of going off of scouting reports but doesn't have the personal knowledge. That makes a huge difference and is a huge benefactor to younger pitchers, Charlie.
Oh, it's definitely one of the biggest, I think, factors for a lot of young pitchers in this league. And you look at some of these other teams across the MLB and look at their catcher situation that they've had for the past few years. I think a team like Kansas City, they've been able to develop pitchers really well over the past few seasons. I think a lot of that has to do with a guy like Salvador Perez just being behind the plate. And I know defensively he's not the greatest catcher, but I think he's also a leader of this team, and I think he finds ways to communicate with his pitching staff in order to calm them down and get them into that groove and that right mindset. I think that's what he brings to the table, and I think William Contreras probably falls into that category as well. Defensively, this season, he's not really matching what we saw last season, that steps he took last season. But he's still a okay defensive catcher who I think also brings the best out of the pitchers that are on the mound with him.
I think the other thing, too, when you talk about Quinn Priester is the value of Chris Hook as pitching coach with Quinn Priester and just how good he can be. I think if you say, okay, for the next 5 years, what do you expect out of Quinn Priester? And that's the question on the table. Nikolai Law, Fan Talk, and text line 414-677-1250. I think based on what you're seeing right now, if you're fully bought in that this is who this dude is now going forward, and he's only going to get better, is it fair to say that you expect 2 or 3 maybe all-star appearances from Quinn Priester here over the next 5 years? Is it fair to say that you expect Quinn Priester to start some playoff games between now and the end of his contract in, say, his contract ends in 5 years? Is it fair to have those type of expectations? Or am I rushing to judgment? Similar to how I rushed to judgment when I said, boy, what are we doing trading for a dude that's been this bad in Pittsburgh? Boston gave up clearly on him already. That's why they traded him to the Brewers. Like, what are we doing? I rushed to judgment and evaluation on Priester there. Am I now doing the exact opposite thing by talking about all-star appearances and starting playoff games for Quinn Priester?
I think you probably are. I think you're probably doing the exact opposite thing. I think we have to probably settle our expectations a little bit. We saw Tobias Myers be phenomenal last season, and this year it just hasn't been the same. I think we've seen a lot of batters on this Milwaukee Brewers team. Eric Thames, a 5-10 years ago, had a phenomenal offensive season, and the year after was back out of the league halfway through the season, it felt like. So I think with this Brewers team, you find a lot of diamonds in the rough. You find a lot of players that are able to outperform the expectations that are set in front of them. At the same time, because you have so many players that are outperforming those expectations, you have to realistically believe that some of those guys are going to take a step backwards next year because they can't continue to meet those expectations. I think Quinn Priester right now is set up and is young enough that I believe in him maybe a little bit more than a guy like Isaac Collins, who I think is in a lot of the same boat, is way outperforming the expectations that were set for him on this Milwaukee Brewers team. But with Quinn Priester, with the way he's pitched at a consistent rate throughout the season, I believe he can keep it going next season. I still want to see if he can do it, but I believe in him more than maybe some of these other players.
So you want me to temper my expectations? All right. I mean, that's something I don't do very well, if we're being honest here. I mean, it's really not something I do very well. It's something that I struggle with, and I struggle with that with my kids and expectations of what I expect out of them in sports. I expect what I expect for them in school and so forth. When you were a kid growing up, did your parents have too high of expectations for you, where you're like, dude, slow down? Like, there's no way I'm going to get straight A's. Like, you just need to slow your roll. I can't get straight A's. I'm not good enough. Or, Charlie, I expect to see you in a Packers uniform or a Bears uniform here at some point at left tackle. Anything short of that, I'm not going to be happy with you, Charlie. Like, did you ever feel like they raised the bar too much, like I tend to do with my favorite athletes or teams?
No, I don't think my parents had those same, I guess, types of expectations for me as maybe a guy that was going to go to the NFL the moment you would see him go. But my parents also have 4 children, and all 4 of us are very different. So I think they learned very quickly how to kind of set expectations for each of their kids differently, because we're not all the same. I think it's really hard when you are the 3rd child in your family and your oldest sibling is straight A student, that kind of follows with you. But my parents weren't really like that. They were pretty good at saying, you know what? Yes, your oldest sister is a genius, and your second oldest sister is amazing at volleyball, but you're your own person. You can figure this out.
So you're telling me they lowered the bar for you because you were a boy?
I wouldn't say they lowered the bar for me, but it was just different expectations than each of my 3 sisters, and all 3 of them had different expectations than the other 3.
I think that's the biggest thing you have to realize, too, right, when you're raising kids, that each kid is not going to be the same as the other. They're going to have different personalities, and the brains are going to work differently, and their study habits and everything else have to be differently. But I tend to have a baseline of expectations regardless of who the child is, and I expect that to be reached, and then anything above and over that is fine as well. However, if you show me that you can be straight A's, and then all of a sudden I see C's, well, then I'm going to realize you're not really trying as hard anymore, and you're thinking you're just going to coast through. So then we're going to have some conversations about what the hell happened, because I know you can do better, right? So that's kind of how it is, and that's how it is with me as a sports talk show host as well. I'm sitting here watching Quinn Priester do as well as he is. If he comes out next year and is, like you said, Tobias Myers, and all of a sudden he's in AAA and the thing goes up in flames, aren't you going to start asking what happened? Like, how can you go from looking this good to all of a sudden being that bad again after 1 year? And you could say, well, Sparky, they didn't really have a lot of tape on. Well, it's not even tape anymore, but they don't have a lot of games on him, right, to watch. So now they figured him out a little bit. But, man, he's been pitching all year long. There is plenty of stuff on him. He's facing the same team multiple times and having success the second time through. Like, I don't think that can be an excuse. Mizorowski you can use as an excuse if he gets blown up next year. But I don't think it's fair to give this dude, Priester, the same excuse if it goes sideways.
I think it's all right to give him the same excuse. I think, again, he's still an extremely young pitcher, still very early in his career. Mitch Thunder Nellis was begging that the MLB give him a shot for the NL Rookie of the Year because, like, his first 2 years didn't count in the major leagues. And I thought that was pretty funny, but also this kind of does feel like Quinn Priester's first year. I know he's been in the league for a couple of years, but this feels like a completely different player than from what we had expectations for when he got traded to the Milwaukee Brewers. And because of that, I think you, again, have to reset your expectations. I think when you go and you've used the example of a kid getting straight A's and all of a sudden getting C's randomly just out of nowhere, and you also have to look at what were they learning when they were getting A's? Were those units just more interesting to them? Were there little things that kept their attention a little bit longer or drew them in that all of a sudden had changed with a new class or something like that? I think with a Quinn Priester, it could be the same thing. He goes into this offseason, he works out with his trainers, he works out with the Brewers trainers, and they tell him to do something a little bit different, and he may not like it as much, but he's going to do it. Kind of like a Christian Yelich with a toe tap. and he's going to do it. But if it doesn't work out, that's the reason. I think you have to dig deeper into it than just blame the person for what happened.
Your kids are going to love you more than my kids love me. That's what I just learned. Charlie's willing to give them every excuse in the book of why their grades dropped. Man, well, maybe it's this. Well, maybe it's that. Well, maybe it's this. Maybe that's what happened.
You can find a solution easier if you understand the nuances in those issues.
You're right. My solution is put your nose in your book and study more than you're studying right now. Let's get you a tutor. Let's figure this out. I'm not giving you excuses of, well, I'm not as interested in history as I was in the cooking class I had in high school. I don't care. Figure it out one way or the other, young man or young girl, whatever the case may be. All right, so the Brewers get the win last night. Obviously, Game 2 coming up tonight. Tommy Wirtz, the big hunk of love, will be out here at the Wisconsin State Fair. Come on out and meet him. The leadoff show, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, 1 hour before every Brewers game here on The Fan. Perfect place to get you ready for the first pitch. Again, Brewers Braves tonight after 6. He'll be out here starting at 5 o'clock. Coming up on the other side, we'll talk about what happened at training camp today, and as well as an injury situation that was kind of surprising that all of a sudden a report came last night. I think it was from Bill Huber that broke it, that said all of a sudden now a certain player had surgery yesterday, and nobody even knew what was going on. We'll talk about what happened there with the Green Bay Packers. That's straight ahead. Coming up next, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, out here at the Wisconsin State Fair. Steve Sparky Fifer with you. Time now for your fan weather forecast. As we sit right now, 81 degrees at the fair. And stop me if you've heard this, they've extended the air quality alert yet another day. Now it goes until tomorrow at noon. A low tonight of 64. Welcome back. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Steve Sparky Fifer with you, live from the Wisconsin State Fair by the Milk House, right to the entrance by the Expo building. Come on out, say hi, say what up. We got shirts out here. We got bucket hats. We got the little pop sockets for the back of the phone. So if you come on out here and be like, what's up, Sparky? Maybe, just maybe, my guy Van might have something for you as well. We got stuff until we run out. But for the time being, we got some bunch of stuff. So come on out here to 5 o'clock today. Andrew Wagner, we'll go inside the clubhouse with him from Forbes Sports, Brewers writer, brought to you by Focus Baseball, coming up in the next segment at 2:40. We'll talk more about this Brewers baseball team. Bruce Murray coming up as well. And Bruce Murray, of course, you know him from Sirius XM Radio. And the reason we're having Bruce Murray on is quite simple, because he is the host of Sirius XM Blitz weekday afternoons. And he and John Kuhn were up at Packers training camp today doing a show. So once they get off the air, we will have Bruce Murray on the show to talk more about Packers training camp earlier today. We'll do that, but let's talk about Nate Hobbs, the story I believe that Bill Huber broke last night about the idea that Nate Hobbs apparently had surgery on his knee. Now remember, Hobbs is the guy they just signed from the Raiders. They just brought him in. He's the guy that they've been getting on for being too aggressive at practice, for lighting guys up when they don't want that being done to their own players. And he's been aggressive, and he's been good. I would say everybody would say Nate Hobbs has played really well in this training camp to this point. And now all of a sudden, Nate Hobbs has surgery and now may miss week 1 against the Detroit Lions. It looks like, based on the reports I'm seeing, that it could be a partial tear of the meniscus, which is what he was having done. So it wasn't a scope. It was a legitimate partial tear of the meniscus. They're saying right around 4 weeks for the recovery time. So he may or may not be ready for that first Lions game. They really could use him in that first game against the Detroit Lions, Charlie. I mean, winning or losing that game could be the difference of winning or losing this division, if we're being honest.
I mean, I felt like part of the reason you go out and you signed a Nate Hobbs was because you were pretty sure you were going to move on from a Jair Alexander at some point here.
Looked good yesterday for the Ravens. I don't know if you saw that interception highlight. Yep.
But now we're sitting here in a situation where Nate Hobbs kind of reminds me of a Jair Alexander a little bit. And I know that he is still pretty early into his Packers career, but we looked at his stats on the Thunder at the Fair show earlier, and we were seeing that he played 11 games and 13 games and 11 games in the past 3 seasons. That's not really a good sign when you're hoping that this guy, all you need him to do is be available and accountable, as Mitch Thunder Nellis put it. That's all you need, is available and accountable. You don't need to be a star. You just need to do the things that Jair Alexander wasn't really doing for this team. And right now what we're seeing is that at least one of those things isn't really going all that well with the availability. And honestly, the accountability, the hitting players too hard in practice is a little frustrating too.
No, I love that. No, see, and I disagree, like always, with what you and Mitch say. First of all, no, there's 2 things that I want out of him. Obviously, availability is obviously one. And now with Hobbs having to have surgery and being gone for 4 weeks, that doesn't help the availability part of playing corner for the Packers. But the other thing I want an enforcer. You know what I mean? I mean, Jair Alexander, he didn't want to tackle anybody. I mean, how many times on the postgame show last year with Tommy Wirtz and I doing that show did we mention, well, Jair, the business decision there, not wanting to tackle that dude, kind of just pulled up and got out of the way. I mean, so many times Jair Alexander had no interest in tackling anybody. Hobbs now is completely different. Bullard hits guys. Evan Williams hits guys. McKinney, to a degree, hits guys. You finally got some thump back there. Keyshawn Nixon, not really going to hit anybody per se like that. Valentine, no, that's probably not going to happen. You bring back Corey Valentine, who was out at practice today after they signed him yesterday. He's not really going to hit anybody. But Hobbs can. And I think that is what you really want, right? You want somebody that's going to run up and pop somebody and let them know that it's going to be different. Bringing that aggressive nature, I think he can bring that over to the entire course of this defense of playing that physical style of football like we all want to see from the Green Bay Packers. And, if he's not out there and if he misses more than a game or whatever, you just wonder what it's going to look like. Who's going to be the leader to lay the thump out there if it's not going to be him? Maybe it's Edgerrin Cooper. Edgerrin Cooper had a big play today in training camp, blew up a play. So maybe it's him leading the way with the physical nature, but you want more than one guy, right? You want 3 to 5 guys that bring the thump and blow guys up on the offensive side of the football when you're playing the Packers. You want guys looking over their shoulder to see who's about to tattoo them before they catch the ball. All of a sudden it's alligator arms and they miss the ball because they're afraid to get hit. That's what you want on this Packers defense this year, and Hobbs is a key part of that, Charlie.
Well, I mean, I think that's what you want, Sparky.
You're damn right that's what I want. Well, you're a Bears fan. You may not want the same thing,
I don't know
but that's what I want.
What the Packers 100% are looking for right now with this team and this defense. What we've seen from the way that they've gone about building their offense is they want versatility. If you look at the way they've gone about building their defense, they want versatility. I think what we're seeing from a lot of these players right now, and like you said, you have guys like Evan Neal that can go out there and hit. Have guys out there like a Javon Bullard who can go out there and hit, a Edgerrin Cooper who can go out there and hit. Yes, we maybe complained about Jair Alexander making business decisions last year, but that also wasn't the focal point of the issues with this defense last season either. It was really him. It wasn't constantly, oh, the whole defense is just so soft. They just get beat up all the time. That wasn't the case. The case was they weren't getting the pressure, and that they were allowing too much ground given up underneath. But I also think that was the design of the defense. What they want is more pressure up front with the front seven. Right now, we don't really need to worry about the physicality with the defensive backs. The defensive back room is okay. You just need the pressure up front. And because of that, I don't think it matters that much that you have that type of thumper out there. I think, again, you just want players who are going to be out there and play consistently, and we didn't have that with Jair Alexander.
It'll be fun to see. I mean, if it's just availability, they could have signed you off the street and put you back in the secondary. If you
you want
somebody
availability
to be
with some kind of usefulness too. That's the other
correct.
thing. I think you wanted somebody who could still elevate the group of guys that were out there all season last year without a Jair Alexander, but just somebody who could elevate that group. And if he's not out there, you're sitting in the same situation you were last season.
And we talk about that Packers defense today at training camp, at practice. The Packers defense yet again stopping the Packers offense ones versus ones. However, the twos for the Packers did score on that twos unit for the defense. Malik Willis with a big-time fourth down pass to McCole Hardman for a touchdown. So at least that offensive unit scored. This Packers offense has had problems, I tell you, moving the ball consistently against this Packers defense in training camp to this point. Like we talked about yesterday, that's pretty common around the National Football League, that the defense is kind of out front of the offense right now. Jordan Love, bunch of throwaways today when nothing was available and he had some pressure coming. He had to get rid of the ball. Another thing that happened, Jordan Love made another bad decision where he's going one way and throwing the ball back across his body right to the center of the field, a la that interception against the Niners. Now, in this case, it fell to the ground harmlessly. Nobody picked it off or anything crazy like that. But those are the type of tendencies you want to wash out with Jordan Love. You don't want him making across-the-body throws. It's training camp practice, fine. But I think it was Andy Herman. I forget. I get all these guys on Twitter. But somebody said they didn't know what he was even looking at. Like, there wasn't even a receiver even in the area of where he threw the football. So obviously he saw something that wasn't there or expected somebody to break to get to that point and never did. That's kind of what you're looking for. At one point in this practice earlier today, Aaron Banks was with the twos, Charlie, and was not with the ones. That lasted for a brief amount of time, and then Banks got back in there with the ones. Not sure what that was all about. Remember, Donovan Jennings was with the ones earlier. He got in there for the ones, and when they actually scored the one time, not in the 2-minute situation, but when they actually scored the one time, he was in there. So, again, we'll see how this all looks. They get the Jets coming up on Saturday night. Packers and Jets Saturday night. Looking forward to that. And coming up at 4 o'clock, our Green and Gold update brought to you by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We'll talk with Michael Nania, co-owner of JetsXFactor.com, about what's going on at Jets camp. But joining us now on the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line, it's John in Franklin, who nicknamed Andy Herman earlier today with the nickname of Sunshine. And if it's okay with you, John and Franklin, we're going to get some music, and we're really going to play that nickname up because I think it's beautiful.
Well, I wasn't. It wasn't a slight on him. He has a pot. He'll take this Hobbs injury and he'll find a way to somewhat make it less than what I think it is. I think this is moronic. I don't think I know more than an NFL GM, but why, Sparky? I'm going to need some help with this because I'm going to blow a gasket. Why? Why do you replace a injury-ridden cornerback with another injury-ridden cornerback? I asked this when we brought him in. Yep. I don't care about the upside. When I would have looked at his not being able to play most of the game, all the games of the season, or it's not just a fluke injury here or there. It's always something. And here we go again, and he hasn't even played a damn snap for us that matters.
It's a great point. It's an excellent point. I think you're right on the money. And I think part of the reason is simple, is that they look at it and go, well, our training staff, will make sure he stays healthy. We have a better organizational philosophy of getting guys ready to avoid injury. And that's why you roll the dice. And like you said, they look at the upside of how good can they be with the Packers versus how good he was with the Raiders, with the coaching and the parts around him. And they roll the dice and hope they're right. And like you said, if he ends up being injury prone for the next 3 years, then this is going to look like a horrible signing.
It's just maddening to me. And of course, we start out with the Lions, and the way this is going, it sounds to me like he's probably not going to play, or at least at the very least he'll be on limited snaps.
Right.
If we're lucky. And why are we doing this? The hell are we doing this after just coming out of this? I can understand not drafting somebody, because if the board didn't fall right, I don't want them reaching 20 picks to get a cornerback. Okay? I'm okay with that. But when they brought him in, it's nothing against the kid, but I'm just looking at it logically, and I'm lost, brother.
I'm with you, John. I appreciate it. Thanks for the call. I haven't heard anybody else really even bringing that angle up, that he was injury-prone with the Raiders to begin with. You bring him in, and boom, he's hurt right away again. I haven't seen anybody, as far as from a writing perspective, really criticize the Packers and point to what John and Franklin pointed to, but it's a hell of a good point, Charlie.
It is, and that's what I'm talking about here. Is this all seems just very reminiscent of the same situation we've been going through with Jair Alexander over the past couple of seasons. And because of that, it just already puts this bad taste in my mouth. It kind of feels like the kicking battle last season before they got Brandon McManus, where it was just like, oh my gosh, we're just going through the same stuff over and over again with the same issues, and it's not being fixed.
Exactly right. He is Charlie Hughes and Sparky Fifer with you, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's as we broadcast live from the 1250 AM and 1057 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook out here at the Wisconsin State Fair, right by the Expo Building, looking over at the Milwaukee, the Milk House right across from us. Drew Wagner, Forbes Sports Brewers writer. We'll go inside the clubhouse with him coming up next. Talk about this red-hot Brewers baseball team. That's brought to you by Focus Baseball. First, here's a sign to never skip breakfast again. Wendy's breakfast biscuits are just $1. Your choice of a buttermilk biscuit with grilled sausage or bacon with egg and melty cheese, or even the Honey Buddy with juicy chicken and maple honey butter. For just $1, you can't go wrong unless you forget to add the delicious seasoned potatoes, or the warm, fluffy French toast sticks, or even the ooey gooey cinnamon. Come on, start your day the right way with Buck Biscuits at Wendy's, and don't look back. Limited time only. Drew Wagner up next here on The Fan. Welcome back. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's as we broadcast live from the Wisconsin State Fair. Steve Sparky Fifer with you. Charlie Usen producing the show back in Hale's Corners. I heard Mitch Thundernelis talking about, man, I wish Charlie Usen was here with me. I could give him a bro hug, and we can eat, and we can do all of that. But, like, I think Thunder doesn't understand, like, you aren't going to come out here and eat up State Fair like he thinks you're going to come out here and eat up State Fair, Charlie.
Maybe with Mitch, if he were to, like, start buying me food, I would at least have to try everything. So, like, if that was the case, may not buy all my own food, especially not if, like, it's all the fried stuff. Like, maybe one or two fried things. If it was with Mitch, I think I'd have to, you know?
Yeah.
He's the food guy.
I mean, he's really in it for the hug, if we're being honest. Yeah. I don't think he really cares about the food. He just wants a Charlie hug. All right, time to go inside the clubhouse.
What's the latest on the crew? Let's go inside the clubhouse with Drew Wagner of Forbes Sports on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Served up by Wendy's on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan. Inside the clubhouse is brought to you by Focus Baseball. Sign your kids up now for July open tryouts at focusbaseball.com. Ages 6 to 17.
All right, time now to get to our guy, Drew Wagner. And, of course, he joins us on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law. Follow him on Twitter by Andrew Wagner. How about Quinn Priester and just how good he has been to this point? I mean, he gives up the leadoff homer on the first pitch to Jerkson Profar, and then after that, stellar for 7 innings, something that you don't see a lot of in Major League Baseball anymore, pitchers going 7 innings. But a pleasure to see from Quinn Priester yesterday.
Yeah, he's pretty damn good, isn't he? I mean, the guy just keeps getting better and better every time he's out there. He gets you out in different ways. You know, he'd been striking guys out left and right his last couple starts. Yesterday he was back to relying on the ground balls and weak contact. He's just impressive, man, from top to bottom. Everything about this guy is impressive. And to think that they're going to have him for the next couple years, hats off to the front office. You know, there was a lot of uproar when they made that trade. Oh, you gave up too much, or that draft pick is going to be too valuable. And, man, Quinn Priester has been everything you could ask for and then some.
I hated the trade. I didn't like it at all. So I'll be the first one to tell you I didn't like it at all. Now, having said that, he's pitched amazingly well, and I certainly didn't see it. And the crazy thing is, we were looking at the first segment back at him. He's only had 3 games where he hasn't given up a run. Every other game he's given up a run or more, which is fine. Again, 3 ERA, he's doing a lot right. Having said that, you know, they've got this dude under contract for 5 more seasons here after this year. And we were asking earlier on, like, what are we expecting from him? Like, how much are we really buying into him? And I said earlier, based on what you see, if you're buying into Quinn Priester being real, that's 2 or 3 All-Star game appearances, right, for the Brewers, and probably starting some postseason games as well.
Yeah, and the thing is, you can't predict the future. You know, we probably could have said similar things about Tobias Myers last year. You know, he was just as dominant for most of the year.
So you're not fully bought into Quinn Priester either, then? You're not there yet.
Well, it's not that I'm fully bought in. It's just you never know what's going to happen. And the point of that is that's why it was so imperative that they preserved that one last option that he had. They did not want to have to burn it. You want to have that flexibility next season in case he goes into spring training and maybe he's not as sharp, or in case maybe he hits a lull next year. So you want to have that quiver in your pocket because that can help a guy, especially a young guy, early in his career. So, yeah, the sky is the limit for the kid. I mean, he's shown that. He's shown that he's got what it takes. Hell, he's a former first-round pick. You know, obviously he's got the talent for a pretty successful career. But with young pitchers, you just never know. Sometimes they have a little, you know, step back, and then they have to regroup a little bit. But, yeah, I think if he keeps this up, you're right. Like, there could be a couple of all-star games in there.
We talked about this earlier on with Quinn Priester back in the beginning of the season about how, man, this dude looks young. He sounds young. And again, I mean, Charlie, who's, obviously significantly younger than both you and I, agreed that he does look young and sound young. How about the mental side of the game and how Quinn Priester has come along from that perspective and from what you can pick up and talking to him and, in the clubhouse and stuff after games?
It's kind of the same thing that I said a lot about Chad Patrick, where, he didn't ever look like he was overmatched in the moment. He never looked like it was too much for him. He never looked like he was caught up in the lights. I think some of it had to do with the fact that he'd been there before. He'd made some appearances in the big leagues. He knew what he had to do. He knew he kind of was getting a second chance here. But yeah, his maturity is just as important as his stuff. The fact that he can go out there and give up that home run, then that 2-out 0-2 hit by pitch, and then lock in the way that he did. That's maturity. That's fortitude. That's being in your own head and not letting the outside stuff get in the way.
Let's talk a little bit about their transaction made earlier today by the Milwaukee Brewers. They acquired Shelby Miller, and he hasn't pitched in quite some time. Avoids surgery, avoids Tommy John surgery. They decide some rest and relaxation will do him good. Now he's headed to the Nashville Sounds for a rehab assignment there. He's got a sub-2 ERA out of the bullpen, making his way over here to this Brewers organization. And Pat Murphy made mention of it, I believe it was last night, about the usage rates that they're getting right now out of Mears, out of Koenig, out of Uribe at this point, and even McGill to a certain point, where they're using them so much and they're still being so effective that it's quite remarkable at this point. I would assume the goal here for Shelby Miller is to try and relieve some of this from some of these guys so they can get them back to healthy.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Give these guys a blow, have another fresh arm in there that you can use, that's had some success, a good power pitcher. That bullpen needs help. They're pitching very well, but they need help. They are being used a lot. They are warming up a lot. They are working a lot. That does tend to catch up with you. So far, so good, knock on wood. I think, McGill basically went a whole week without pitching. That's helpful in a way. It almost borders on too long. But Uribe, Mears, Koenig, those guys are getting up every single day, and you got to get them a rest. You have to have another option in there.
We were talking about this earlier, and we have Tim Dillard on Thursday. I'm going to ask Tim Dillard about it. That whole thing last night with Uribe screwing around that front of that mound for pretty much the entire first batter that he faced and throwing ball one, ball two, ball three. Finally throws a strike, still screwing around. Then Contreras goes out to the mound to help Uribe, and he's messing around with the dirt. Now, he was messing around the backside. I don't know what that point of that was, but he was out there messing around with it as well. It's been a long time since I've seen any pitcher be distracted that much by the landing spot of where that lead foot is as a pitcher like Uribe was last night.
I mean, it happens, and listen, it's a finicky thing. You have your preferences, you have what you're used to, and if it doesn't feel that way, that's going to be in your head because you're worried about the way you land, you're worried about missing your spot, you're worried about getting hurt. That's in the back of the head, and sometimes it's hard to get out of the head. If it's that gratuitous, it's something you got to deal with. I haven't seen it in a while either, but it's not that uncommon.
Coming up tonight, Andrew Wagner of Forbes Sports. It's going to be our guy Freddie Peralta on the mound. The last time we saw Freddie Peralta was probably the worst that we've seen Freddie Peralta all year against the Cubs. The only loss against the Cubs in that last series, 4 innings, 5 hits, 5 runs, all earned a walk, 4 walks, and 3 strikeouts, including that home run that he gave up. The Brewers haven't lost since that game. I would expect a much better performance tonight from Freddie Peralta, kind of like a revenge game of sorts for Freddie Peralta here, trying to erase what happened that last time.
And it goes back to what we were saying about the bullpen. Here's the thing, everyone raves about Freddie being an ace, and listen, he's having a great year, but you need your ace guy, your number one guy. He's not just the guy that you go on the mound to end a losing streak or keep a winning streak going. He's the guy that when he takes the mound, a lot of your bullpen dudes should get the day off. They need Freddie to start doing that, especially now, especially down the stretch. They need him to go out and do what Quinn Priester did and give you 7 innings of ball. They need him to step up. He's got to stop nibbling. He's got to stop walking guys. He's got to lock in and start being efficient because that bullpen needs the rest.
How many times do you think Freddie Peralta has pitched 7 innings or more this year?
I think twice.
I have it as once. 8 innings, April 2nd against the Royals, and that game went to extra innings. 8 innings, and he had 8 strikeouts in that game, no walks, 2 hits, 1 run, and they went to extra innings against the Royals. He has not pitched 7 innings or more outside of that one game. He got to the 7th against the Nationals on the 13th and got a couple outs, but did not get all the way through the 7th inning.
Yeah, that's problematic, man. That's problematic. The Brewers have a lot of guys that are great 5-inning guys. Freddie's the guy that you should be able to count on getting through the lineup 3 times and doing so in an effective manner. Throwing 100 pitches over 5 innings is not going to cut it. You need more at this point.
Yeah, no doubt about it. He has had 12 starts where he's pitched less than 6 innings in a start. 12 starts! Like, to your point, you're absolutely 1,000% correct. Like, your best pitcher has to get you through more than just 5 innings. And for him to go 12 starts this season and not get to the 6th inning, that is a crazy stat on Freddie Peralta at this point. But, again, hopefully he gets over that bad outing the last time. And really, for being honest, 2 of his last 3 games have not been good because the last outing, 5 runs against the Cubs. 2 outings before that was a Dodgers game. He went 5 innings and gave up 4 runs in that game. So 2 of his last 3 games have not been good for Freddie Peralta.
Yeah, they need a little bit more out of him. And it's not a knock on him. Again, he's pitched very well. He's got good numbers this year. But they need more out of him at this point, especially with what they're trying to do down the stretch. They've got too many guys that are 2 times to the order 5-inning guys. You just can't have a full rotation of those guys. You need one guy that's going to go out there and be your stopper and going to be your ace and going to be I got this, guys, don't worry about it. Yeah, it's not like it used to be. It's not going to be like CC going out there and throwing a complete game every time, but you got to get into the 7th inning. You got to give those middle guys a blow.
I'm with you. That's our Inside the Clubhouse segment. We do it every Tuesday and Friday here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. It's Andrew Wagner, Forbes Sports Brewers writer, brought to you by Focus Baseball. Follow him on Twitter at @AndrewWagner. Thanks so much for coming on, man. Appreciate it. We will talk to you again on Friday.
Sounds good, man. See ya.
There he is, Andrew Wagner. Potawatomi Sportsbook, that's where you want to have your fantasy football draft at. That's right. You got a fantasy football league that you're in. Up to 14 teams. You can host your league draft at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. You can do it right there on the second level. Now, this thing is 6,500 square feet, the whole Potawatomi Sportsbook. The second level is a smaller space, but big enough to host a fantasy football draft. They're going to give you a podium. They're going to give you a draft board. They're going to give you all the stickers for the draft board. Each member of your team in your fantasy football league will get 3 drinks, plus they're going to put out a smorgasbord of food for you as well, and you have your fantasy football draft right there on the second level, looking right at the 2,000 square foot center screen at the Potawatomi Sportsbook, where you can watch over 30 different sporting events, the whole deal. You can go down there and make bets and the whole deal while your draft is going on. It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing, man. Check it out today. Go sign up your fantasy football league. Do the fantasy football league draft at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Go to Potawatomi.com/sportsbook. Potawatomi.com/sportsbook for more details. Coming up in the 3 o'clock hour, we will check in with Bruce Murray. And, of course, Bruce Murray from Sirius XM NFL Radio, host of Sirius XM Blitz weekday afternoons. Him and John Kuhn were doing their radio show from Lambeau Field and Packers practice earlier today. We'll talk with him coming up at 3:20. Charlie Sounds today at 3:40. Up next, Matt LaFleur gave an update on his plans for playing time for the starters for this game against the Jets coming up on Saturday night. We'll talk about those comments coming up next. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook here at the Wisconsin State Fair, just outside the Expo Building.